Hello, everybody. I'm Ken Eastman, Dean of the Spears School of Business, and Alexis Hightower and I sit down, along with a variety of business professionals and others, to talk about all things business. This is what we call the Buzz on Business. You know, Alexis, it's all our guests have been great, but it's always special when we sit down with a student.
Oh, absolutely.
And talk, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. We get to know the students that are here in the Spears School of Business.
Yeah, it's always a highlight too. The people love to hear from the kids and everything. So we're delighted to have one of our current students with us today. I believe his name is Robin Ventura. Robin, welcome.
Thank you. One of the kids?
Yeah, that's right.
One of the kids.
Well, you're younger than me, so I call everybody a kid
Okay.
who's younger than me. But again, welcome. We're delighted to have you here.
Thank you.
So why don't you start us off with a question, Alexis?
All right. Where are you from? Like, I know you haven't been in Stillwater this whole time.
No.
Okay.
I am
So where
from
did you-
Santa Maria, California. I came here, my first semester was 1985. I was here through 1988 and left after that. And then I re-enrolled in 2020, or is it 2019? I can't even remember. I think it was 20.
There's a pandemic. It's all
It's all confusing. So I re-enrolled to be the student coach for the baseball team.
Okay. And whose idea was that?
Josh and Matt Holiday. I'd come back to a couple football games and we were tailgating. I kept running into them, and Matt had just taken the volunteer spot, and they were, just kind of haphazardly like, "Hey, you ought to just come back and do this." I'm like, And then the next time I ran into them, I said, let's look into this a little bit. How would that work? And Josh came back with the grim news that I would have to be a student to be able to do it. And that's a little bit of that's a change. I don't know if I'm all on that, but after I thought about it, it was like, this would actually be fun. And it's been great. I mean, it's not easy, but it's been a lot of fun.
I have to tell you, your first day of school picture was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
They
Oh yeah.
posted.
My daughter said that because I used to get first day pictures of all of them, she's like, "Get your backpack, get out front, this right in the front door. I want to get a good shot." And like, I don't think I should have brought you.
Did any of your kids go here?
My oldest daughter, Rachel, went here. She graduated in 2013.
Okay. Was she within Spears too?
No, she was not. I'm trying to even remember what it was. I can't remember anything.
Well, she wasn't a business student. We don't care.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
All right.
So that's just-
She's not my daughter. No.
So it's a fascinating story that for you to come back and do that. So what really kind of convinced you to finally make the leap into doing it?
Well, I after managing the White Sox, I wasn't really doing anything. And, I think coming back to a football game and then getting around the people that, just the atmosphere here, it does something to you to make you feel a little younger. It gives you a little energy. And I, just kept talking to Josh and Matt about it. And I was like, it's just something that you can do. It just totally drew me to it. And this is obviously the only place I would do it. But
Well, we're glad about that.
Yeah, well, but it was just something that I'm like, okay, I'll do. And there's just always something when you actually don't get your degree, it just kind of sits there. And you're like, it would be nice just to check it off the list and know that you actually accomplished that.
So what were the biggest differences you noticed being a student this time compared to when you were?
It's a lot different. The whole online, the Canvas, it took me a while to really kind of get to know that and understand it and be able to navigate it. I think really what takes kids probably 30 minutes to do would take me a couple hours when I first started. So I was really kind of behind early, and I had to spend a lot of time it was late nights just because I was trying to figure that out. How am I uploading this, downloading that, sending that out, making sure everything was on time. And I think that was, in the old days, you had to be in class, you had to turn it in class. All your research stuff was over at the library. Now it's pretty open to where you can just be at home. And then with the pandemic, everything was at home anyway. But I think that's probably the biggest thing is the books were the biggest thing. It's easier to get books now. It really is. And, the whole online thing. And I think it's better because you have faster access to teachers and materials and everything you need.
What has been the hardest class for you so far?
Oh, I had an organizational behavior class. It's hard. It's weird coming at it from my angle because I've kind of already been out there. And then now you're like, I know what those things are that they're talking about. I don't have the actual definition of it. So it was interesting to really learn the definition part of what I've really experienced already. And some of it is, I know they're teaching from a place of kids going out into the world. And I've already kind of been through that. So maybe my responses might have been a little bit different and that was the thing I had to ask, because I'm like, mine are going to be a little different than everybody else's, because some things it's like, this is going to work. And I'm like, well, in my profession, that doesn't work. And so it was that was interesting for me, of just relearning that and kind of putting them into their compartments of what they actually are, the way it pertained to me.
And you're getting a general business degree, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So have any students or faculty recognized you?
No, I have gotten some strange looks when I actually had to come in here to do the tests. And you could take them online, you could go over to but I had Ryan Bogus on our team was in my class too. So we would just go over there and we'd take the golf cart over and park it and take our tests and then go back. But I actually enjoy. You get some strange looks walking into the class because they don't really quite know if I'm his dad or his dad's just sitting in for the test. The teachers' aides were obviously a little concerned when I walked in of what's this guy doing in here? But I think after the first time it was okay.
So you've got some of the players in your classes. What's that been like?
It's actually been kind of fun. I mean, they give me a hard time, but I can always catch up on them. So I think it was Dylan Gardner. He was always ahead of everybody. And anytime I get on there and look, he's already posted, he's already done his work. And I'm like, all right, that's not doing it for me. I need to find somebody that's fallen behind a little bit. So that was more of being able to walk in and like, have you got your assignment done for this week? Just asking questions to make sure that they're moving along.
That's
Do you
great.
think you're going to go beyond, like maybe get a master's?
We're
when
going to
you're
wait
done?
on that. We're going to
Okay.
wait on that. I know there's been talk of that, but it's actually hard to be able to do this and coach at the same time. It's just being able to put everything in there. When you're a player, you kind of have your times you're supposed to be there, but as a coach, you're there earlier and you're there later than everybody else. So squeezing that in is not very easy. That I've learned.
So let's go back. What brought you to play baseball here in the first place?
Well, that's the only scholarship I got. And
You're
out
kidding
of
me.
California, I had the opportunity to walk on at quite a few places. And then like the middle to the end of when the recruiting was, Tom Holliday called and said, we want you to come out on a recruiting trip. And I'm like, okay, I'm like, and I remember like, back then you had to be on your telephone. You didn't really have a way to look up a whole lot of things. So I'm like, all right, I'll come out. But I kept thinking like, okay, I can't play where I'm at, but this is the team that goes to the World Series every year. If this is the right one, I got to make sure this is the right one. So I flew out, I'm here and, the games are going on. There's a lot of people and Pete's hitting a home run every third time he comes up. So I realized that, but it was kind of the atmosphere of the place that brought me here. And you get those things in life that kind of change the trajectory of where you're going in life. And this place has done that to me. And I getting back to why you're here, those are things that always kind of sit with you. And, I know I would have never done the things that I've done unless I came here to Oklahoma State.
What did you first think of Stillwater when you got here? Because it's so different from California.
You cross Cow Creek. It's a little bit, it's a little bit different. You get a real quick summation of the town. But and again, that town was smaller back then. I mean, there wasn't as many food options. You might think there's not a lot of food options now.
Yeah, I've been in Stillwater for 17 years. There's not a ton.
But there was less back then.
Oh.
So, that was, I learned how to cook here. I can tell you that. There's, you learn how to improvise and adapt, and, that. But it was a really close-knit town. I think you got to know everybody, and a lot of people came to games, or you just ran into them because you had to walk on campus and you had to see everybody. So, back then you just knew everybody. And I think that was a really cool part of going to college back then.
You did the whole dorm experience and everything?
Yeah, I was in Bennett. My very first experience at Bennett, I think it was about 110. And we had a baseball tournament in Wichita right before school started for a summer league team. And I had to take a bus from Wichita here, and it took 8.5 hours because you hit all the little small towns coming down here. And then they dropped me off at Cowboy Plaza, and I had everything I was bringing to college in my bags, and they didn't have wheels on them back then. So I had to carry them all the way down there. And then I get into Bennett, and there's no air conditioning. So it was, it was a
quite the experience.
Eye-opener. Yeah.
So you lost a few pounds on that?
Yeah, exactly. I just figured this is a good little jump start to my diet and lose a couple pounds.
I'm stunned that, again, you're considered by many people one of the greatest college baseball players of all time, and you weren't that heavily recruited.
I think that happens quite a bit in baseball. The metrics for what the intangibles are, what somebody can do, it's not like basketball where you're looking for a 7-footer, or football you're looking for a big fast guy. It's just, you can be an average looking person and be able to succeed at it. And I think that's, part of baseball. You can't ever just look at somebody and say that guy will never make it.
Yeah, it's still stunning.
Well, I'm glad it is.
Yeah.
After your time here, you went to the Olympics.
Yes.
How was that? Will you talk about that a little bit?
It was really fun. I had gotten drafted after my junior year, and it just coincided with the Olympic year, and really one of the greatest experiences I've ever had. And we traveled everywhere. I mean, I think we met up right after the College World Series. So it was like in June, maybe early July. And we finished, I think, right around October 1st. So we traveled. I mean, we went to Japan a couple times, went to Italy. We traveled around the United States.
Yeah, because y'all won gold.
Yeah.
Oh.
And when Jim Abbott threw a complete game against Japan, I think we won like 5-3 or something like that. But really just a cool experience. I think, you get to go, and we got to walk in opening ceremonies. And this is back when I think tennis first started using professionals that year. But they built these high rises for everybody to live in as a village, and then they were going to turn them over to be housing when we were done. But the funny part was John Smith and Kenny Monday were right above me. They're in the apartment right above me. And the worst part of it, I've told this story many times, but they would jump rope at 6 a.m, and you just hear these ticks of about 10 different sounds, but they would just sit there and clip the wood floor, and you're like, oh my gosh, these guys are killing us because we sleep in a little bit. And I went up there, and Coach C was up there too, and he just laughed at me. He's like, "I'm sorry, you're gonna have to get some earplugs or something." So yeah, it was fun. I got to see John and Kenny wrestle too. So
Are they in year? Are they above you? Younger?
they were
Same?
Kenny had already left school, but he was still on the USA team, and John, I believe, was in his junior or senior year, and then Kendall was an alternate on that team too. So it was fun having somebody there that there was people there that you were familiar with.
It's amazing when you were here, John Smith and Barry Sanders. So literally, three people who many people believe are the best at their sport. So, you think about that. I mean, at the time, I'm sure you didn't realize
We
it,
didn't.
but
I mean, you come back to these things, and EJ Pfister won the NCAA individual title for golf. So you figure that in '88 you had 4 people that were like player of the year, which is crazy. I mean, it does sound crazy that you have that kind of talent here. I mean, it really does. I think any school would be that way, but I think at that time we were kind of that little small, just outlier school that was good at a lot of things, and I think that was the fun part.
so what was the like playing in the major leagues the first time? Your first
Oh, I
at
was
bat?
scared. I can tell you, I was very nervous. It's something you've always wanted to do, and the first experience of going up and playing, I don't remember much of it. I really don't.
Too terrified.
It was
That's
just you don't want to mess up. You want to do well. I think you end up in places where you're just lucky to be there, and I don't know if you're supposed to be there. It might be like that. But, the White Sox at the time, they drafted well. We were a very young team when I got up there, and I think it was just the right spot. It kind of had the same mentality that Oklahoma State does, because you kind of have that little chip on your shoulder. You're the second team. People feel like you're the second team in town because everybody watched the Cubs because of WGN, and it just kind of had the same feel for me.
Do you still talk to any of the guys when you first got there? Like,
Oh yeah. The guy Wayne Edwards is the guy I got called up with, and we had to fly from Birmingham, Alabama to Baltimore, and you get and this is a different time too, where they just say, just here's a ticket, go to the airport, here's the hotel, figure it out. And you're like, now you got guys checking along the way, you got phone stuff. This is back where you don't even know if you're going to the right place. You don't know.
hoping for the
anything.
best.
So, yeah, it was kind of freeing, but yeah, you still talk to those guys, and it's kind of fun to go over it. I mean, now you're getting to a point where it's 35 years or 35 years ago. So things you don't expect to be thinking that way, but it is what it is.
Do you still talk to any of the guys from the Olympic team?
Yeah, actually, I just it was probably a couple of days when we were out in Arizona. Ed Sprague was the other third baseman, but yeah, we keep in contact. That team kind of became a really tight team just because of the way we had to travel. We were on buses when we were in the United States, and we did a minor league tour. So you'd play in Jackson, Mississippi one night, and the next night you're in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and you're just kind of trying to catch up on sleep. But it made for a really good experience as far as a team, and I would say it's the best experience of a team I've ever been on, just because of the way it kind of happened.
Intense bonding. Being on a bus
Exactly. Yeah,
that's
when you're in foreign countries and everything else, you seem to stick together.
And from June to October.
Yeah, it was a long time,
Yeah.
but it was, and we started our base camp was in Millington, Tennessee, which is the most inward naval base. I'm going to come up with these weird things that
a Navy base.
it's
Tennessee.
the most inward naval base in the United States that we have, and we stayed in barracks. They had a baseball field that they had built to be like our home area, and we just stayed in barracks, and I think that kind of created part of the experience as well.
Wow. So, what was your favorite memory from playing professional baseball?
Um, there's just so many of them. I don't, I never won a World Series, but with the Mets, we won the National League pennant. Which I think at that time, winning it just bonds everybody, and I think that's probably the biggest thing. When you have wins as a team, it feels better than just your individual stuff. So, all the times of winning, I think when I was on the Mets, it was, a team that hadn't won in a while, and all of a sudden you win a couple times. It just created a good atmosphere to be there and be part of it.
And you won quite a few awards throughout your 16 seasons.
I did?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Golden Glove,
Evidently,
correct
her
me if I'm
research
wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say,
indicated-
who's got random information in their head right now?
Well, I was just saying, throughout your time there, you did win a couple, right? Golden
I did
Glove,
win
think.
6 Gold Gloves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Will you talk about that a little bit?
Well, the weird part is I came out of here more of a suspect as a defensive player than an offensive player, and I think it took a lot of work, and it was something you have to commit to. But it's funny even now coaching. I think our kids will ask questions. They do a lot of research themselves. They believe me. They
There's
have
way
looked
too
me-
much information.
They
I
have,
was gonna
there's
say, sure,
way
I'm not the
too
only
much
one.
information. They have looked up everything. They'll hit me with something every day, and I'm like, oh yeah. And some
Forgot
stuff
about
I
that.
remember, some
Yeah,
stuff I don't.
yeah.
And I'm like, and if it's good, I say, oh yeah, sure. Might not even be true, but
Sounds good.
yeah, it sounds good. The bad stuff, that never happened. That would have never happened.
So, what was it like making the transition from a player to coaching?
It's different when when you're a player, your concerns are yourself first, and then it goes into the team stuff and making sure you get everything done. But when you're coaching or managing, you're looking at everybody. You're looking for, there's a player that's going to walk in every day, and you don't know who it's going to be. It's a pick out of a hat, but somebody's going to have some screaming needs. And whether it's emotional, mechanical, physical, there's gonna be something going on with somebody every day, and you have to be aware of it, and you have to be open to it. You have to kind of be looking for it, and so you're spread out a lot more than you are as a player. As a player, you can kind of focus on your own things, and you can go in the cage and take swings and everything else. But when you're coaching, man, you're watching everybody, and you're watching body language. You're just trying to make sure everybody's still moving along and doing what they're supposed to be doing.
What would you say the biggest difference is from managing to coaching like a collegiate team?
Well, I think, talent-wise, the guys are a little further along. But what I've also noticed is they're very similar. The issues might be different or bigger, but they still do the same thing. And even the major league guys are kind of kids at heart anyway. So they still do things that are kid-like, which is fine, but they already know better. So you get the ones here, and they, this is part of growing up. And I think, you're trying to help them become a little more time management savvy.
You would know all about time management right now.
Right now,
Yeah.
I'm very good at teaching this.
Yes.
I'm very good, because when they say, "Oh, I don't have time to do it," I'm like, "Oh, yeah, you do." 'Cause
Trust me.
Yeah, I know. But I think baseball is just baseball. It's different, but it really doesn't matter if it's little league or the major leagues. There's just a lot of similarities on what people go through. What works, what doesn't work, things like that. That I think Matt and I both get to share with these guys. If they're having a problem, you're like, yeah, this happens as well. Or if Josh is frustrated, or even, a coach on the other side's frustrated, you can look at him and go, yeah, even if you're in the major league, you still be feeling like this. So that part doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, who was the most challenging player you had to manage in the pros?
Not too many that are challenging. I think they all have their different thing. They're all, the ones that ended up being concerned more about themselves than what was going on around them, or the team stuff. I think that's that's going to be difficult in any situation or any environment. But when those guys are open to what's going on around them and feel free to talk that way, that they have the courage to kind of step up and talk and engage and be open about that. I think those are the guys that are a little bit easier to coach.
You mentioned playing for like two different teams. Do you like the East Coast or the West Coast better? Because you grew up on the West, but
I spent most of my time playing in the Midwest in Chicago, but New York was just fun. It was very different for me. I'm not a big city guy by any means, but I think just, again, the atmosphere that you get, and they call them fanatical for a reason, and they are definitely fanatical.
They definitely live up to that.
Yeah, it gets to that point. I think the West Coast, there's probably, they're great fans too, but it's different. I think there's more to do there. There's more for people to go do outside. But New York was just a good, and Chicago was too. I think Chicago's probably the best summer city in America, of being able to have water, and it's a manageable downtown. New York is just so big that you get there and you're like, I have no idea where to go, what to do. Chicago, you can kind of head and get your toe in the water of just understanding the city and getting around.
Yeah, I think you're right. Chicago it's a big city, but it doesn't feel
It doesn't
way.
feel that way. And you have the lake that's right there, so there's some water that you can. It's very cold.
Yeah,
but it's very cold.
I have two sons living there.
Yeah,
so
it's very cold, but it's you can still get out there. And
like, I feel the need to disclose I've been a Cubs fan most of my life, so playing for the White Sox.
This is over, right? No.
It was brutal, and I do remember, when the Mets won that pennant. That was, so I'm trying to get past it. I just want you to know, Robin.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying.
That's
to hold
okay.
any grudges. So
that's okay.
It's funny.
What you traveled a lot of cities, obviously. What, besides playing in Chicago, New York, what were your favorite cities to play in?
I think road trip wise, I always liked going to Seattle. That it was just cool enough, weather wise, that you could walk around. I loved walking around, like going to Boston or Seattle. I get up every morning and do the Freedom Trail and do things like that. As you can tell, I would like the history part of it. So I walk around and do a lot of that. But Seattle was always, there was great seafood. You could go down to the market and they're throwing salmon around and doing things. So I just like when I went to a city to get out, and if we were in a place that we were downtown, you could walk. I love doing that.
I guess I never thought about that. When you would go out and experience the city a bit.
Yeah,
you had a life outside of it.
Yeah. You kind of just turns your brain off from you thinking of the baseball part of it. But I would get up, have a coffee, check what's on the news, and start walking, and just to kind of get myself going.
I was going to ask, what did a typical day look like in the majors, and then as a manager, and now?
As a player, I would get up, have coffee. I'd watch the news. I wanted to make sure I watched about an hour of news, and then walk around. I usually, back then, just to kind of go back and forth. Today, they have a chef inside the locker room because they want to have everybody on kind of a nutritional path. In the old days, you had to get your own lunch. So my day was trying to get myself coffee, maybe something light to eat, walk around, look at the city, but always have like a stop time of I need to go find some lunch somewhere and then come back and be able to go to the ballpark and get ready. But now, because they have a chef that's inside the locker room, they get there much earlier than we used to get there because they'll come and work out. In the old days, they didn't have a weight room in every stadium. So you would get up in the morning, and some days you'd go and work out at some
local
health club and be able to get back and do it. Now everything's inside those stadiums. So they get there much earlier. And even as a manager, you kind of get up, and I'd walk around, do everything, but you pretty much eat at the stadium. You're there at 11:30, 12 for a 7:00 game. And this is much different for me. So again, I am just the student coach, so I'm not required to do a lot of things, but I am here on time, and I think that I have to do my school stuff before I come to the stadium, just because once I get there, as soon as you walk in the door and you think, oh yeah, I'm going to get it done when I'm there, it never happens, because we have 30 guys that are going to be in the cages, and they want you to throw, they want you to ground balls. And
it's a great thought to have. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The thought's there. Yeah.
So I have to get that stuff done either early, because going home at night, I'm tired. I don't want to stay up till 1 to get it all done, because usually things are turned in by 11:59 and 59 seconds on a Saturday or Sunday. So I don't want to kind of push that time.
I was about to say, have you ever pulled an all-nighter yet?
What if I say yes?
You would be normal.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm the normal. Yes, I've had to pull an all-nighter of just, and that was my first semester coming back, trying to get everything organized. And then I look at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to get this in by 11:59. So I stayed up all night on a Saturday. We had a Sunday day game. And then I drove back home and I started to do it. And I got it in, I think about with 2 minutes to spare.
That's early.
Well, really, Alexis, we should talk about this.
I'm going to let you go with that. I got mine in on time.
There you go.
Is what I'm saying.
There you go. Do you go to Edmond Lowe ever to study?
No, I have not.
What?
I haven't been in. I don't have time to do that.
You take most of your classes online, or all of them?
Yeah, I had one that was in person, but it only met once a week. So that one was a little easier for me.
I mean, like you, a number of our students who work a lot, they do take online because it allows them some flexibility around their work schedule.
It totally allows you the freedom to kind of get to it when you need to do it. And I like that you can work ahead a little bit if you feel urged to do that.
Like Dylan?
Yes. Dylan was on top of everything. So he was always the first. I knew I was running late when somebody else got it done. If Dylan got it done and I hadn't got it done, I knew I still had time.
Yeah. That's so funny.
So you said to learn to cook. What are your favorite things to cook?
Well, when I was here, it was pretty simple. Just pasta and things like that. A lot of veggies. But I'm all over the place. I think even for the tailgating stuff, EJ Pfister and I do a tailgate for football, and we'll barbecue. He's competition style ribs.
Wow.
He's really good. I do tri-tip, which is from my hometown. So I make tri-tip sandwiches. So the Santa Maria style tri-tip is kind of its own little thing. And I grew up watching my dad do it. So I brought it back to a football game, and they decided that that's what I had to do every single time. So I'm pretty limited as far as the tailgate. They don't let me veer too far off, but I'll try and cook anything. I really enjoyed kind of experimenting with that and being able to cook. I would always cook, and on home games I would do it, and then I'd make enough that my kids could have it for dinner, but I would make it for lunch, and then they would end up having it for dinner.
How many kids do you have?
4 kids. Got 3 girls and a boy.
Oh, okay.
And they're all grown. They're 29, 28, 26, and 22.
Okay. Where'd the 22-year-old go for?
He went to Georgia.
Really?
Oh, okay.
His cousin went there. And he went out on a trip and was like,
I'm sold.
This is where I want to go.
This is home.
Okay. I said, but there's still this place halfway in between there.
You mentioned cooking whenever you're late night studying and you don't want to cook. Where in Stillwater do you typically go?
At night I don't. But Red Rock's kind of my favorite for sandwich soup. I'm a big soup guy, so I love the soup and sandwich little combo. That's my. If late night, if I could go to Ranchers, I would go there. That's I like going there.
Well, as a student, you can use your meal plan.
I have done it. I have done it. I didn't figure it out until after the end of my first semester. I saw so many college kids in there, and I'm thinking, I don't remember being in college, kids being able to eat so well. And I found out that they save up their card so they can have a big blowout at the end of the semester. So I said, all right, I'm going to do the same thing.
Yep.
I'm going to wait it out, and I'm going to go with all my fellow students and order up.
Get the full experience at that point
Yeah,
too.
I had the
Exactly.
same experience. I go, God, these kids have money, and that's
Yeah.
the same thing. And they'll
It's like they had a nice glass of wine. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
man, that's a nice bottle for a college kid.
That's funny.
yeah. So that was very different than my experience.
My
with
experience was-
students.
So it's top ramen.
Y'all had meal plans back then, right? I shouldn't say back then.
We did.
I-
What do you mean?
I
It
was
wasn't
just
like we were
saying.
killing the beast on the side of the road and
We said
frying
it
them up.
wasn't
I mean,
like
come
my
on.
experience. I didn't know if y'all even had the option.
Well, you did if you were in a dorm. And so at Bennett, that's where the football team ate. So if you timed it up right, they had better food than what was served at other times. So if you timed it up right, you could probably upgrade your meal if you had a study partner that was on the football team, you would be able to maybe get a ticket for an extra or a steak. They had steak, we had other stuff, but you might be able to work your way into a steak.
Weasel your way.
Yeah.
into
I say
it.
gotta have those connections.
Yeah, you gotta
Building your
put
network.
yourself out there and meet some people.
So, in whatever free time you have, what do you like to do?
Rob Walton and I will go out and play golf just to kind of unwind and talk through what's going on with the baseball team, but it's in a much more relaxed atmosphere, and we can kind of clear our heads and look at things without being in the middle of it. That's pretty much. I like to travel. I think again, getting back and being able to go. We just got back from Nashville playing Vanderbilt. We just went out to Phoenix, so it's fun traveling with these kids. I think to see them experience these things. I think Josh does a great job of being able to kind of put us out there a little bit to get the kids to understand what it's like to travel and how to act when you're going through the airport.
Did you like Nashville?
I did like Nashville. I've been there a few times. We used to have our winter meetings there. So I probably knew a little bit more of getting around and where to go than some other people, but really good town. I think the kids, it was a really good trip for us. The kids did great. They played well. It was a good trip.
Yeah, it's interesting. I probably haven't thought about it, but you're right. For a lot of the student athletes, the travel is something they probably hadn't had a chance to experience.
Yeah, it's different. And I think if you travel just by yourself, it's one thing, but when you're traveling as a group, it's almost like a tour group. When everybody's kind of
That's
lined
right.
up and
That's
somebody
right.
holds a flag up and all right, you're going this way.
You
You're
don't
doing
tie
this.
ropes to get between.
Well,
right?
we
It's like-
I would like to. I would like to. If I could. There's a few of them I would like to tie on a rope.
You have the backpack. It's like a leash.
Mhm.
That's right.
Just daisy chain them together.
Yes. So if you weren't doing the baseball life, if you weren't traveling, if you never started baseball, what career path would you have gone down, you think? Or would you want to go down?
I'm going back to the answers that I've always given. And when I was a kid, the Goodyear blimp always flew over my house as a kid.
Really?
And I wanted to be a blimp pilot.
That's so specific. I love
That's
I-
it.
very specific.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I could hear the motor and I would run outside and I would climb on my roof to watch it land. It just fascinated me. Now that I'm older, I don't know if that's really,
That's a
What-
bucket list thing to fly that.
Yeah.
yeah, I've actually been on it.
Have you really?
That was one of my things that I wanted to do. And I did it in Carson, California. That's one of their depots. And I went up on it. We went around Palos Verdes, the airport, all through it. But it's a strange thing because you're just in this little small compartment and you can feel like you can still see the front of it, the back of it. And it doesn't go very fast.
It doesn't look like it.
It doesn't appear, yeah.
It doesn't go very fast, but it looks fast. It feels fast when you're landing because they point the nose. You're literally pointed straight down. And at the very end, they swoop up and then the guys grab the ropes. But when you're looking at the way they're landing, there doesn't look like
This
there's
is not
any
gonna
way
end
out
well.
of it. It doesn't look like this is not safe.
That's funny.
Well, thank you very much, Rob. I enjoyed chatting with you. Appreciate
You're
your
welcome.
time. Alexis, always a pleasure.
Thank you. I had fun.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you the next time on The Buzz on Business.